Welcome. It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is part 2 of What If Isagi Had Ultra Ego, and I found some of the comments that you guys were putting in the last video pretty funny. Appreciate the support as always. I'm trying to be more consistent. I promised myself that I'd be more consistent, so I'm gonna stick to what I promised in terms of how many times I'm gonna upload, and yeah, that's all I really gotta say. I want to get these Isagi videos out to y'all, so let's just get right into the part 2. Let's get it. Isagi Yoichi has already taken down 2 teams back to back, being that of Team X and Team Y has fallen victim to Isagi and his non-stop and relentless playstyle. And Team Z, well, it's pretty obvious that, at least to an extent, they're buying in, or at least they believe that Isagi really is as good as he says he is, because he just showed why he's levels above. Plus, someone like him, he's getting so many goals and so many points that he's able to get some food for his team, and he gets some of the best food you possibly could see. So their little meals and their little celebrations are extremely nice and extremely good. Isagi tells them that if they want to keep having some good food and so on, well, keep feeding him the ball, keep feeding him the goals, and he'll give him just that. Even Bachira has a quite bit of amount of points, and the main reason for it is because of how many assists he actually has to Isagi himself, because he loves feeding the monster that is racing down the field. And Isagi just tells them all that there's no way that they're going to lose, in which that is the truth beyond this. I mean, I hate to say that, but the Wanama twins and even Team V will most likely not stand a chance. But still, even with that said, there's some things to be said. The team that has the Wanama twins, well, they, let's just say, are a bit of a work of art, and that's saying it nicely. Isagi can tell that the Wanama twins are cocky, egotistical, and frankly he likes that in somebody, but they also make fun of someone that is in a way less fortunate, someone that has been injured, in that being Chigiri, in which he doesn't like that at all. He finds that is very kind of disgusting in a way. He thinks it's just so dumb that these kids are making fun of someone that got injured. Like, don't get me wrong, Isagi is no perfect guy. Like, he's not nice by any means. But the fact that you make fun of someone because of an injury, something they really can't control at the end of the day, it's kind of stupid. And Isagi is not okay with that. So he tries to basically convince Chigiri throughout this game to unlock and play how he used to play, be the player he used to be, and maybe Isagi would even take a small backseat so that he can become that. But Chigiri would of course hesitate. He doesn't really want to, but Isagi tells him that he might as well, because there is no just running away from football anymore, because he's guaranteed going on to the next selection. So you might as well just get on with it. You might as well just do how you used to do. And Isagi makes this abundantly clear, because there's no way they're going to lose. He's going to make sure that they win every game. And even during this game, while speaking to Chigiri, he scores multiple goals. He'll tell him this over the course of basically just scoring each goal, and Chigiri would kind of be taken back by this. Like, this is insane how much Isagi can do in a matter of like minutes. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it doesn't matter. He's an absolute monster on the field, scoring goal after goal, and frankly draining the life out of the other team. Chigiri would begin running and racing down the field, eventually showing off the speed that Isagi wanted to see, and frankly, this made Isagi pretty impressed. Kid's fast, extremely fast, and it seems like his ego is just as high as anyone else's, and it seems like his capabilities is just as high as anyone else's. But not as good as Isagi, of course. Chuguri would find goals for himself, and frankly, the dismantle of the Wanama twins was apparent. It was just absolutely freakish how badly they beat down the Wanama twins and his team of Team W. But really, the next game is kind of where everything is at. Isagi knows that they're going on to the next game or the next selection, basically unscratched. I mean, it was a pretty easy first selection, and Isagi makes that pretty clear to everybody that it was pretty simple and pretty easy. And he brings up that they don't even need this next game at all for it to even matter. But he says that at least maybe some of them could get some goals, because he doesn't really care that much since they're already going on to the next round. And he assumes that they won't be doing that much of this team stuff, at least in the near future, in which in a way he would be pretty wrong about. But Isagi would want the feeling of kind of being on his own. He's kind of bored of this team play stuff. He already has to do it so much in high school. He just doesn't like working with a team that much in general. But still, whatever. He basically tells them that they can take the forefront for this last game, and this game would be against Team V, in which them taking the forefront would eventually lead to their team falling just a little bit behind. Isagi would realize this and would start picking up the pace himself, because as much as he knows they will go through to the next round basically guaranteed, or the next selection guaranteed, he doesn't necessarily even want to lose to these people. He doesn't know who they are, and he feels that they're nowhere near as good as them or as good as him. So he decides that he's going to turn up the ante to a high degree. And frankly, that's just when it's over. Even the skill of Nagi, the passing and the speed of Zentetsu, and the passing of Reo, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And it seems as if they fall behind. Isagi would put them ahead exactly where he needs them to be, and he would show what the levels are in terms of how good at football he really is. And they were able to kind of squeak out the match, and it's squeak out because normally they win by like eight goals, but they only win by about 1 or 2 goals this game, this time around. And Isagi more or less just shows, and it kind of in a way proves how much better he is than most of the people there, and frankly that they need him to play the style of football that he's been playing if they want to go as far as they really should be going. Now, with all that said, Isagi would kind of celebrate with his team. I mean, there's no reason not to, right? So he would celebrate with his team of just how good they did and what type of kind of progress they've made, because his team is a lot better at the end of the day. It's just, they're not as good as him, as always. But Isagi would celebrate with them. They would have a good time, and so on and so forth. And of course, this would be fantastic in terms of getting good food and enjoyment. But now it's time for the next part of the next selection, and Jinpachi Ego would speak to all of them. They would have a conversation or they wouldn't necessarily talk to Jinpachi Ego personally, but they would have a conversation to a degree with Jinpachi Ego, and he would speak about more or less what's going to happen next. First off, there's some training, and they all start with this training or so-called training, and frankly, it's a pretty basic just workout and just train and try to get your body completely where it's supposed to be type of training. And it goes pretty well for every single person there, including Isagi. And Isagi doesn't even necessarily need it, at least not to the degree that many others need it. But still, it's a good thing to do, because I mean, it results in a pretty strong Isagi at the end of the day. And with all that already said and done, Isagi would be excited and ready to get on to the next selection, because the next selection would be one that is a little bit different than the one obviously now. The next selection is actually involving one holographic goalkeeper Blue Lock Man. And this is a little confusing because, like, what is this thing? I mean, how is this thing even work, and how does it even develop? I mean, how does a hologram, actually touch a football or a ball in general? How does a hologram touch anything? So it is a bit confusing, but Isagi would see the ball drop from the sky, and basically it would be explained that he needs to score 90 goals in 100 minutes, and he thinks this is pretty easy. And we all know the way Isagi plays the game, it is going to be pretty easy. Because at the end of the day, the more goals he scores, the better, the faster, and the more crazy he gets. So when he starts scoring goal after goal after goal on Blue Lock Man, well, let's just say the room itself begins to kind of break apart a little bit. We're talking 90 goals. We're talking that's a lot of time for Isagi to get more and more powerful. And even Blue Lock Man is kind of malfunctioning, only just standing still as Isagi is hurling these balls through the goal, through the net, and easily doing it too. It's as if the ball isn't even moving. It's like if it's teleporting. It's like from his foot to the goal in an instant. Everybody, or basically the people watching this, being that of Jinpachi Ego, and actually some other people as well, kind of trying to get a feel for what the hell Blue Lock is. They see this happening and they're kind of tripped out by it. How is he even doing this? I mean, even a grown man, someone that has an insane, even Noah, someone like that, can't even shoot goals like this. And, well, Jinpachi Ego would just be smirking, knowing that this kid is special. This kid is a different breed. He's just completely a different type of player. And it seems like whatever is deep within him, whatever that kind of ultra ego side of him is causing his body to do, it's gonna benefit them greatly. Because let's be honest, if they go against someone that isn't a holographic thing, well, it's gonna be so easy for him to score goals against a normal person. No goalie in the world is going to be able to stop Isagi. He is a freight train that does not stop, a freight train that goes in a straight line and nothing can brace for impact. Isagi would defeat Blue Lock Man, and he would do it in record time, leaving and being the first person out in the lobby area for the next part of the second selection. He would be awaiting just whatever's to come, and more specifically, waiting for people to arrive. And eventually, well, someone would arrive, being that of Rin Itoshi, and Isagi would see him and even know exactly who he is, and he would call him the little brother of Saitoshi, in which Rin would tell him to not call him that, and Rin would know who Isagi is as well. Let's make it clear, Isagi is pretty decently known overall. I mean, he is a talented player, and everybody kind of has a gist of who he is, and Blue Lock itself has just shown more of what he's capable of. In terms of outside of Blue Lock, people know him from just the spectacular things he was able to do in the over a course of time. But Rin would tell him that he's no little brother of Saitoshi, that he's going to be better than his brother, and so on and so forth. But Isagi would laugh at him, saying that Sai is a prodigy, someone that is extremely talented. But here's the thing, well, he decided, or it seems he decided, that he wanted to be the best at something else. He couldn't be a striker, he couldn't cut it out. So how would little brother be able to do better than his big brother? Isagi would mock him slightly and would tell him that he's just not what he's supposed to be. He's not up to par what he needs to be, and he's never going to be as good as his big brother. And I mean, come on, his big brother is levels above everyone, right? Isagi would kind of be making fun of Rin to a certain extent, and Rin would just stare at him with a death stare, and Isagi would tell him that he doesn't want to do anything about what he's thinking at the moment, because it all ends bad for him in every single way. In which Rin would just be frustrated as he waits for other people to arrive, and when two other people by the name of Aru and Tokumitsu would enter, they would immediately leave. because Rin would drag them along and tell Isagi that he'll see him on the other side and to be ready because he's going to beat him senseless. And in which Isagi just continues to laugh, and as his laughter would fade out, Rin would walk away and walk through those doors. Isagi would await for the arrival of Bachira, just at least Bachira more specifically, because he wants to play with him. I mean, that is his other monster, and he knows how talented Bachira really is. So he adds Bachira to his team, but now it's really a matter of who does he put on his team now? Who's the next player? Isagi finds that everyone else is kind of boring. I mean, let's be honest, he can add Shigori, but I mean, that's a little boring. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, he can add Kunigami. He's pretty good, but he might not be able to cut it. And in which Isagi just thinks to himself that, I mean, necessarily it doesn't matter who he adds to the team, but everyone's so boring. Everyone is literally so boring. But eventually someone else would arrive, someone else would show face, and Isagi would look at him. Now he's interesting. In which Bachira would be confused, asking what he's talking about, and he would point at the guy once again, and he would point at him and say, look at him. He's like a little demon. In which Isagi would laugh a little bit, but then the boy would walk up and ask what he's laughing about and would try to kick Isagi in the face. Isagi would grab it with his left hand and tell him to calm down, like relax. And Isagi would ask if he wants to join their team. He looks pretty interesting, it looks fun to play with, so why not? Isagi wants to broaden his horizons. In which Bachira would shrug and would just agree with it, and well, the person there standing in front of him would agree and would say that, you know what, let's do it, why not? And Isagi would laugh a little bit and would put his hand out to greet the guy as he would grip, or they would grip each other's hands pretty tightly. And Isagi would introduce himself, Isagi Yoichi, and well, the one in front of him would introduce himself as Shido. Shido, Isagi, and Bachira. They go through those doors together, and the team on the other side waiting is Rin, Aru, and Tokumitsu. And Isagi, well, he wants to take on them right now. And he tells Shido that he can tell that he has a big chip on his shoulder. He can tell that he wants the ball as much as he does. He can tell when someone's primal urges to take over a game are flooding the area, flooding the scent around them. He can tell the type of player Shido is. Shido would look at him with a slight smirk and would say that maybe he does think a little bit higher of Isagi now that he's saying that. But as long as they properly share the ball, they'll be alright. Isagi laughs a little bit and says that if it comes down to it, he'll hold the ball the entire time, as long as they win. In which an agreement is made, and Bachira kind of just stands there, just enjoying the show, just enjoying these two absolute monsters, let's be honest, a demon and what seems to be some sort of destruction god of soccer, just standing in front of him. Now with that said, the game against Rin will be upon them, but that is for the next part of What If Isagi Had Ultra Ego. So if you enjoyed part 2, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And with all that said, I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.